This program was first broadcast on Canterbury's community access radio station Plains FM 96.9 and was made with the assistance of New Zealand On Air.
Good morning, Bliss lovers. It is Rebecca Davison here, intuition coach, founder of the Intuitive Life Academy. Welcome to the Find Your Bliss show, where we talk about all things metaphysical, intuitive, psychic, and supernatural. So this morning on the Find Your Bliss radio show, I want to talk about something that is what I would consider elementary when we're doing intuitive energy spiritual work, which is keeping your energy clear. And how do we do that? We need to learn about our energetic boundaries. So let's talk about the different energy fields that you have. As we know, everything is energy. However, you have lots of different energetic fields. For example, your body is the densest part of your energy fields. Now, you can look this up. If you look it up on Google, you can see images of it, so it's probably easier to look at, but I'm going to describe it. So you have your physical body. It's often referred to as the etheric body. And then, of course, you have your mental body, which is connected to your mind, but this is an energy field that surrounds you. You have your emotional body, which we all know about every day, every single day, right? We're experiencing some form of emotion. Otherwise, we have other emotions that bubble up and become bigger. So your emotional field is a big energy field in terms of awareness and also doing your intuitive and spiritual work. And then you have things like your auric field, which you might have heard people refer to as your aura. Then you have things like your celestial field, which is also part of your energetic field. If you're looking at your physical body, these are kind of like layers that are around your body. So, and that contains everything that your energetic fields contain are made up of what makes you uniquely you. And then you go even into, I can't remember what's beyond that. I think it's the Ketheric energy field, which kind of contains most of it. But if you're looking at it, it's kind of like layers of an energy field that make up you. So when we're looking at strengthening our boundaries, we want to get really good at awareness of what we are made up of. You know, for example, you'll all know this on a very standard term, which is if you go into a room and say somebody's had an argument in there, even if they've stopped arguing, you're going to feel that energy in the room. So, and when we start to learn too, because often a lot of people I know experience overwhelm and feeling really anxious, and you think about it, the pace in which we live in this day and age is kind of frenetic, which is why even COVID has been such a gift for a lot of people, and learning to kind of lean back, stop, be introspective, to have more time rather than getting caught up in routine, in the rat race, as we might call it. But when we start to learn about how energy actually impacts us, it is massive. So if we go into a room or an environment, even a building has an energetic frequency. And depending what's happened in that building will determine the energetic frequency. If there's somebody who's very aware, who's living there, who's actually shifted the energy out of the property, then that's going to shift the vibration. If something's happened there, if there was a lot of conflict there, if there was arguing there, that's also going to be in the energetic imprint. Now, this isn't something that we just necessarily think about on a day-to-day basis. We don't necessarily walk into a building unless it's very obvious often and go, oh my goodness, you know, this building feels amazing or this building feels awful. We might look at it from an environment point of view and kind of go, oh wow, there's beautiful pot plant over there and there's lots of light in this building, so that's what contributes to it feeling good. But if you took all that away, what is just the energy, the vibration of that place? So when it comes to your energetic fields, you've got to realize that they're being impacted all the time. You're kind of like like a radio transmitter. You know, you're emitting a vibration, but you're also receiving as well. at any given moment. And this is why it's so important to A, be aware of your energy and all your energy fields, and B, to actually do the work to strengthen them. So let's talk about some examples, which of course, often that's how we learn awareness. That's how we develop our intuition, is when we've had circumstances in our life where things haven't gone the way that we wanted them to, right? Where somebody's maybe crashed our boundary, and that's how we learn, okay, that's where my boundary is, to be able to be in that space where we own it. I don't want to say defend it. I want to say, that we stand up for it and say, this is what feels good for me and my world and my reality and my energetic boundary. And beyond that, I'm not open to receiving that vibration or whatever it may be. So starting to get very aware of this, because the irony being, we have to have our boundaries kind of crashed to be able to establish our boundaries. But the ultimate from there is, once we've established our boundaries and we're running a healthy boundary, is to actually let go of having any boundary at all. Right? What does it take to just be such a radiant being that you're so full of light that you're expanding that light consistently, so you can actually be in what we would call, from the Course in Miracles, would call just defenseless. You don't need any defense against anything. So this is something that we want to be aware of when we're talking about boundaries, because yes, we have to know what it is to stand up for ourselves, to speak our truth, to express ourselves, but ultimately our biggest goal further on down the track is to be in that space where we don't have to defend ourselves against anything. But let's start at the beginning, which is, if you have your energetic boundaries, and how's it different from kind of maybe the emotional boundary? An emotional boundary is going to feel like it's been breached or crossed when somebody says or does something to you that affects you emotionally. So maybe it doesn't land in the way that feels very good, and that's up to us to go in and do the inner work and start looking at that, right? And going, okay, well, what's going on there? How have I responded emotionally from what that person has said? What decision I've made, no matter what the energy it is that they're presenting either. Now, I know I did a radio show on this, was it last week, about when people drive you nuts, right? Because often some of that energy can be quite intense. Like if you're experiencing conflict with somebody in your life, then there's going to be a certain level of intensity in that often, but our job is to be discerning, right, and go, what's my responsibility in terms of what it is that I need to do, and what is the other person's responsibility, and therefore we just take ownership for what's ours, as opposed to picking up the emotional energy for the other person. Now, this is very, very common for sensitives, intuitives, empaths, and healers, because of course they want to heal people. So it's also known as the archetype of the wounded healer. I'll fix that for you. I'll make it better for you. I'll pick up all your emotional junk and take it into my reality, into my body, into my physicality, into my world, and effort and to try and make you feel better. So one of the questions you want to start asking yourself is, am I carrying energy for other people? And then just notice, again, one thing to do, right? If you're listening to that question, first thing you want to do is go into your body. Because your mind will sit there and go, I don't know, am I? But your body will know. So if you take your attention out of your head and move it into your body, ask your body, am I carrying energy for anybody? And see what your body says. That your body will know immediately. I would say about 85% of the time, people are carrying some, if not a lot, for other people, depending on who it is. Your partner, more often than not, children, absolutely, parents, often, siblings, extended family members, somebody in your life or world who's experiencing some kind of pain. It's kind of really common to do that, because we think that it's actually kind. There's part of us that believes that it is loving to want to take that person's pain away. And of course, when you say it out loud like that, of course you want to be loving and kind, but what is more loving and kind is actually giving the person the autonomy, awareness and tools for them to figure it out for themselves, right? We want to guide them and support them in doing that. But this is also the path of awakening and becoming more conscious. You cannot do that for other people, right? You can You can invite them, you can encourage them, you can inspire them. But when it comes to awakening, people can only choose to do that for themselves. So being very aware of that when it comes to wanting to take away somebody's pain or hurt. So, a concept that's been spoken about before called spiritual theft, which is really where you're carrying energy for other people that you're actually holding them back from doing their own work. The other concept of spiritual theft is that you have gifts, skills and talents that are unique to you. So by not bringing them forth into the world, that you're actually holding them back from other people, right? So that concept of spiritual theft. So just being very aware that you have to question yourself as to why and where this belief has come from, that carrying energy for other people is a good idea. Where did you get that idea that carrying energy for somebody else is a good idea? So being in that space of going, because there's part of me that thinks that it's loving, there's part of me that thinks that it's kind, and really starting to go, okay, well, is that actually contributing to both of us feeling happier? Because this is often where we get into what we call burden bearing, which is probably more of a psychological term. But if you ever feel like, if you feel like you're under a lot of pressure, great question to ask yourself, am I carrying energy for other people? If you feel like you're under duress, am I carrying energy for other people? Even stress, a form of stress, is kind of where your mind is attacking your body by saying, your mind saying it has to look like this, and your body's not able to kind of cope with that. So really starting to identify and ask yourself, where am I making these choices that are not actually supporting me? Because this is the beautiful thing about energy, is once you start gaining awareness of what you're actually doing, then you can ask yourself, is that really to my benefit? And if it's not, what choice am I going to make instead? That's literally awareness in a nutshell. Have an observation, make an evaluation, and then choose to make a decision about it. So ultimately, what does it take to be in a space where everybody's carrying their energy for themselves and doing their own work? Now let's talk about it in terms of if you are spending time with somebody and then after you've spent time with them, you feel drained. What do you do in that circumstance? First and foremost, you want to be aware of it. Sometimes it's obvious. Sometimes it's not obvious. Sometimes it's really subtle. Now, let me give you an example. I remember going away for kind of a mini vacation once, and I came back, and 3 days later, I was like in a really funky mood, right? I was like, what is wrong with me? Why am I so titchy and kind of grumpy and scratchy? It wasn't until 3 days later that I finally asked my intuition and said, what is going on? Is this energy even mine? And the answer was no. And it just through the awareness, it just lifted like a veil off me. And I identified who it belonged to, and I kind of wrapped it up in some love and light and sent it back to that person, because this is what happens when we even spend time with people. We can just being in their presence, we can pick the energy up. Because again, we're an oscillating field of energy, right? We're transmitting and receiving energy all the time, which is why if you know somebody who's very heart-centered, you want to spend time with them. All right, they feel good. It's like standing next to a warm fire on a cold day. They're just radiating warmth and love and kindness. And we all want to experience that. We all want to feel good, which is why, like nurses, for example, in hospital, if they're very heart-centered, you might consider them to be your angel as such, because of the vibration that they're emitting. You know that they care. So that's something to be considerate of, like what is the vibration of the person, but also what is my vibration? What is the vibration that I am giving to others? And starting to be really aware of that. So of course, the flip side of that is if you've spent some time with somebody who feels really yummy, heart-centered, warm, caring, blissful, you definitely know what it's like when you come up against somebody and they may be, maybe they're going through some stuff. Maybe they're running a bit of an energy of defensiveness because they've got some conflict going on inside of them. And often they might feel quite prickly They might feel a little bit like, ooh, I couldn't get close to that person even if I tried. This is your intuition showing you. Now, often too, what will happen here is your ego will like to get involved, right? Because often where there's conflict, the ego's like, haha, this is awesome because I get to create some separation and some fear and to kind of go into duality rather than realizing that we're all connected. And if this person is experiencing some kind of inner conflict, then they actually need love rather than distance or judgment. So it's really up to us to kind of go, okay, even if there is some kind of energy that doesn't feel so good, what does it take to be the person who's going to choose to respond to that with love rather than going into that contraction or judgment or separation? Now, of course, because this is really important, if you want to be able to love people unconditionally, you need to keep your energy clear. And you need to be very aware of your own body, your own energy fields, and maintaining your energy field. And again, this can happen so easily and we can slip into it so quickly without any consciousness. One of the questions I asked the ladies in my Intuitive Mastery program the other night is, how expanded is your energy field? And this is the thing, if we're not aware, we can shrink it down real quick, depending on what's happened. If you're having a great day and you're really expanded, and then you go out there to the supermarket, etc., and then you bump into somebody and their vibration's not so good, you can bring your own energetic boundary in real quick. And why do we want to expand our energy anyway? Because we're a limitless being in a body. And you think about it, the person who's having the most fun or experiencing the most joy is the person whose energy is the most expanded. They're going to be running the energy of all good things, filled up, lit up, shining their light, expanding their energy and feeling amazing. And in terms of creation, when your energy is expanded, it's easy for the universe to bring you what it is that you want because you're kind of running a greater wattage in terms of the law of attraction. You think about it, you're more open, boom, you can receive it. There's no resistance, right? You're in flow, you're in those high frequencies of energy. That's what, if you want to get good at effortless manifestation, you want to work on your energetic fields. So, and again, and it does take some work, it takes some awareness. It takes some awareness to ask ourselves those questions and go, okay, where is my energy? How expanded is my energy right now? All my energy fields. Do I have some dissonance in my emotional energy field? Is there, something going on in my chakras? Do I need to be aware of, right? Your body's always communicating with you. It's kind of funny, even tuning into it. It feels like energetically, like if you're listening to this, I would encourage you to start listening to your body in a deeper way. It is wanting to communicate with you. If my body is in pain at all, I start asking questions. Pain is information. So your physical body, again, is the densest part of your energy field. So also, too, when we're doing energy work, it is where the energy will shift the last, because you can shift energy out of all your other energy fields because they're more open, more expanded. Your physical body is more dense. So it's going to move out of the body at the last or the deepest, right? Especially if there's some energy that you've experienced from a long time ago that's kind of been in your body. But again, when we do that, we can literally be in that spacious defenselessness and the divine spaciousness, which I like to refer to it as, like sometimes when I'm waking up in the mornings, I'll get, and I set my intention to do that. So I'd encourage you to do the same. As you're coming out of kind of unconsciousness into consciousness, that's a really great opportunity for spirit to speak to you. I used to do that a lot because I used to get frustrated with my intuition. So I used to, I used to be like, oh, I'm not getting this. And then I was like, okay, well, if I ask when I'm waking up, then it will be easier. The veil's thinner. I actually believe when you sleep, you go out into your spirit because your brain activity is actually increased when you're asleep rather than when you're awake. Don't know if you're aware of that. But my belief is that your soul goes out to experience more wisdom. It goes out to its expanded self. You can astral travel, etc. So, you can literally go and visit archangels and, experience information and ask for an energetic upgrade. Like sleep is a really, really important time in terms of integration, in terms of learning spiritually, in terms of embodiment. So asking for information as you're starting to wake up and come back into consciousness, and the word divine spaciousness, which is because it's so difficult to put into words the experience of the God or the universe. I mean, how do you describe that? How do you describe, as soon as you start using words, you're making the infinite finite. So it's really tricky in terms of actually describing, how do you describe how God feels? How would you put that into words? As soon as you start describing it, it kind of diminishes it. And that's why I'm so passionate about the fact that people have to experience it for themselves, because as soon as you do, you have irrefutable proof of what it feels like, what the frequency is, and how that energy moves through your body. And this is the thing, if we bring more of that energy into our physical body, into our energy fields, it's going to be so much easier to open them up. And, and again, another people would just say if you find it difficult to kind of relate to that as a concept, that's why we call it love and light. I've heard that the love is the feminine energy and the light is the masculine energy. So when you're bringing love and light frequencies into your body, you're bringing in the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine. And when you're running that through all of your energy fields and you are expanding your energy and being very aware of where your boundary is in relationship to other people. And again, we don't have to make a big deal out of this. If we come across somebody in our life and they don't have such a great vibration, we can just be aware of that and we can send them some love. We don't have to go into rescuing. We don't have to go into codependency. We don't have to go into that wounded healer, I've got to pick that up and fix it for you. People do that to each other all the time. And don't get me wrong, I have done it heaps myself, because it comes from a place of lack of awareness that we're assuming in some ways that person doesn't have what it takes to be able to figure it out for themselves, which is totally not true. And that's something to really sit and just really be present to, is the fact that you have everything that you need to live an extraordinary life, to live a life filled with source energy, divine love frequencies, no lack, so limitlessness, to be in a space of knowing that you are divinely provided for. In the Course in Miracles, they talk about right-mindedness, which is, is a great word, but we do want to move away from right and wrong. I guess, maybe correct-mindedness might be a better way to describe it. But right-mindedness in the respect of, if you are lined up with the mind of the universe, then you will be experiencing a lot of flow. Everything will move through your reality in a way that really supports you. But we have to be super aware of the fact that we are an expression of the divine. We are, they say the thimble as opposed to the ocean. So the power of the ocean versus a thimble of water, our source energy is where we need to kind of go to allow ourselves to open up, get all our energy fields open and allow this energy to move through us. So if we're kind of focusing our attention on source energy, everything's going to fall into place. Everything. And people forget this. And then they wonder why, okay, I feel cranky. Have you connected to light frequencies today? They wonder why this person in their life is behaving in a particular way. And it's like, what would it take to look at it from the divine perspective? How is this actually to my advantage? Oh, that's right. On a soul level, I wanted to learn what strength or patience was. So here I am having that experience. How lucky am I? Right? And I know sometimes I have to... I identified very early on, right, doing intuitive coaching work, that sometimes the greatest gifts come in really crappy wrapping paper, but we have to be willing to go past the wrapping paper and look for the gift. We can't just sit there and make a reaction and judge it and kind of go, oh my goodness, this is awful. We have to open it up and be prepared to look for the gift. And again, when you're working with your energy fields, like I said at the start, you have your physical body, you have your etheric body, you have your mental body, you have your emotional body, you have your auric field, you have a celestial field, you have a ketheric field. If you look it up on Google, you can see all the different layers of your energetic fields. And when you start looking at yourself like that in more of an energetic way, or a multiple layered energetic way, and start being very aware of your energy fields and how you are kind of constructed as a divine being, then you're going to be much more aware of when energy comes into your field when it's not yours, or energy comes into your field and there's part of you that's agreeing to that vibration. Let me give you another example. I got a phone call once with somebody who called me with some really bad news, and I was actually having a great day. You know how normally what would happen is somebody would give you that news and you would be like, oh my goodness, that is terrible, and your vibration would drop. Now, I could still express that I was sad and that was a terrible thing that had happened. Somebody had died. But at the same time, I wasn't going to drop my vibration. And it was really interesting too, because I think it was a situation where that person felt that I wasn't being kind and loving because I wasn't matching the vibration that they were offering. Now, that doesn't mean that I was being unloving. It doesn't mean that can you understand what I mean? Because this happens a lot, right? We think that it is kind to match a vibration. Like they say, misery loves company. Is it going to make any difference to the outcome in terms of whether I'm in a high vibration or a low vibration for that person? No, right? We want to be the people who actually go, I'm aware of what is happening here. I'm sorry that you're experiencing this contraction, but I'm not going to meet you in that vibration. I can't change the outcome. That what has happened has been that person's sole choice on some level. So being very aware of things like that, right? And often too, people can have it as an expectation. If you love me, then you'll meet me in my misery. Be aware of that. What does it take to be the person that can be happy no matter what? Of course, it doesn't mean, and I know this will push a lot of buttons for people because people will be like, oh my goodness, that's not very kind. No, it's about awareness, right? And there are so many things, right? You can walk out the front door and be ambushed by energy. You turn on the television, you get ambushed by low vibration contracted energy. Super important in regards to what's happening at the moment to go, what is the energy of what's occurring and where am I choosing my vibration to be? And this is really using your mind, body and spirit to help you really navigate through life. So important to do it with awareness. So important to keep on checking your energy and ask, how expanded is my energy? If you want to have more fun in your life, if you want to create more, you want to expand your energy. And you want to keep on being aware of that so you can keep on checking in to see how expanded it is. One of the first things I really started doing when I first started developing my intuition is I just kept on asking myself, how am I feeling? Right, which is a really good place to start. Like, I'm a deep feeler anyway, so going to my emotional body was kind of natural. But of course, you think about it, anything that you want in life, you believe it's going to give you a feeling. So it's a very powerful energetic field to work with, your emotions. How does this feel? And again, this is how we can start to learn about energy. Does this feel good? Does this bring me joy? Does this make my heart sing? Does this contract my energy? Does this feel a bit icky? Your intuition's always talking to you, and the place to really do that is through your emotional body and also through your physical body. Even your mental field, where is your focus? What is it that you're focusing your attention on? Is it serving you? Is it uplifting? Or is it pulling on your vibration? So when we start to work through all these energetic fields, you can see if you have an awareness of all of them, and all of them are contributing to your life experience, if you have an awareness and you're choosing a high vibration in all of those fields, then you're setting yourself up to get intuitive information really quickly, really easily, because your be an open vessel for it. You'll be working with getting your ego out of the way because you're working with the energy rather than that part of you that's often concerned with fear, separation, holding yourself back and keeping yourself small. And you'll be streaming source energy through all your energy fields. So you're going to be feeling good. So it's just a win-win situation. But the first pass to awareness really is starting to ask questions. You know, even to start being aware, right, that maybe if I'm checking into my energy fields, maybe what does it feel like underneath my feet? What does it feel like, 2 feet behind me on the right? Does that feel good? Do I need to send a little bit of light to that part of my reality, to that part of my energy field? Is somebody plugged into me? Have they corded into me and they're pulling on my energy? Now that happens often, right, with family members, with people that we're close to, that people that we spend a lot of time with. They can want to plug in, especially with people who feel good. This can naturally happen. If people are on a high vibration and somebody's on a lower vibration and they want an oomph, they will plug in, right? They will plug in like a little cord into, like a vacuum cleaner cord into the wall. Give me some of that good love, right? And if you are in a higher vibration and somebody's doing that to you, A, you have to be aware of it, but B, you want to see them connected to their own light so they don't have to pull it out of you, right? They can be in their own vibration. Okay, so starting to ask questions to create more awareness, to even realize that you have all these energetic fields, and therefore if you're going to have all these energetic fields, that you want to be aware of them so you can take care of them, so you can strengthen your energetic boundaries, with the ultimate goal of not having a boundary at all, that you're just a radiant being full of love and light, and expanding your energetic frequency limitlessly, because that's the ultimate goal, right? To just be an oscillating field of energy that doesn't have any defense mechanism whatsoever. And don't you love that about spiritual work? And this is the thing that my mind would often go into a lot of conflict about. I would be, oh my goodness, like there seems to be so much contradiction or irony sometimes in spiritual work. Like you say one thing and then you actually have to hold the complete opposite as a truth in the one palm, right? So like Di Foster, client previously, she said it brilliantly. She said you have to hold two truths in one hand. All right, folks, thanks for tuning in on Facebook. I always play about the first 25 minutes of the show on Facebook. You can check out the podcast by going to iTunes and searching for Find Your Bliss. So please subscribe, write me a review. That's really helpful for other people to see the podcast. I very much appreciate it. If you'd like to be part of the community, do come and join us on Facebook by searching for the Intuitive Life Academy Facebook group. We'd love to have you there, and really great, wonderful community of light workers. All right, folks, lots of love to Facebook. Bye for now. So today, folks, we have been talking about strengthening your energetic boundaries and even talking about what your boundaries are, your energetic boundaries, and how you have lots of different energy fields, and how we have to create awareness around those energy fields to feel good, right? You are an oscillating field of energy. The energy in your home is really important. One thing that is really interesting, actually, like I did a values chart and I gave it to the ladies in Intuitive Mastery, because I found it took me a long time, once upon a time in my life, to realize that I wasn't living my values, and that when I did, it opened up my world in such a big way. I was just like, oh my goodness, I feel like, this is a divine revelation that I can actually choose to live in alignment with my values. And from doing that chart, I realized that one of my values was my environment. So super, super important to me, the environment that I'm in. And and just looking over, kind of having some awarenesses of places that I've stayed and stuff overseas, and the places that I have stayed in that have had such a good vibration, that energy is so important to me. And I'm really fortunate because, here I live next to the beach and I experience, which is really good for keeping the energy in your house high, again, bringing in water energy into your home, which of course, you know, water is often associated with emotion. So, and being a deeply emotional person, being a water sign, it's really good for me and also really good for your intuition. But being aware of these things, that they have an impact, you know, your environment is really important. Even, you know, so to do things that help your energy field in regards to your physicality and your home, declutter, get rid of your crap. It's all energy. So if you have clutter in your environment, if you have a messy environment, it is going to impact your energy fields. That's why feng shui is so important in terms of helping people to feel good in their own energy fields. Your house is kind of like the extension of your energy field. You know, it is your sacred space. You know, and I often get that comment a lot in regards to my property. People say to me, oh, you know, it feels really good in here. There's a reason for that. I bless my house. I have angels, you know, on all four corners of the property. You know, Archangel Michael. And again, sometimes Archangel Michael's always with me. It's really interesting. I'll tell you a fun story about that. I had a beautiful feng shui consultant, Marcella Rees, I think her name is. She's here in Christchurch, if you guys want to look her up. She came through my property and gave me an extensive report, and she walked into my bedroom and she immediately picked up Archangel Michael, and I hadn't told her anything. She was like, oh, I feel Archangel Michael in here, and I was like, well, that would make sense because I call on the energy of Archangel Michael, especially when I'm sleeping, to watch over me. So it's really cool, right, to have that wee energetic confirmation, you know, from an external source that I hadn't spoken to about it. But again, you can bless your house, you know, whatever you tune into, whether it's love or light or, you know, higher frequencies, peace, calm, whatever energy you want to experience in your home, ask for the universe to kind of wrap your house in a big bubble of it. I've had the ground blessed at my house. I've had energetic grids, you know, placed into the ground, sacred geometry. So, you know, where you live, your environment's really important. You want to bless the ground. It was really interesting, actually, when I got the groundwork done, the lady who did it for me, she actually... she found a really old coin. It was really fascinating. She found two. She found I think it was like a $1 coin. And then she found this old, maybe it was a half penny or something, or sixpence or something like that. Anyway, it was quite a big coin. But when you flip them over side by side, it was like the queen was looking at the king, like they were looking at each other. And I was like, oh, that's symbolic, and it's really cool. It's like that little confirmation from the universe of balanced energy, right? The masculine and the feminine. So that was kind of like a nice wee wink from the universe in terms of, you know, the energy's balanced, it's in a good place. But wanting to be very aware of energy everywhere you go, constantly checking. And I know a lot of people, like I used to be quite cocky about this in regards to doing my work, you know, because I'd be connecting people to light and we'd be clearing their energy fields and it would be feeling really good. That is the most amazing thing about doing sacred leadership work, is that when you are clearing somebody else's field, it's mutually beneficial, right? Because you're there, that's your intention. Of course, you get the energy clearing because we're all connected. However, I used to be a little bit cocky with it, right? And I used to be like, oh, yeah, you know, after that person had gone and before maybe the next client, you might forget to clear the energy. Now, some people do it in lots of different ways, right? They, which is kind of to disconnect and clear anywhere you're holding any energy or have any energy from the previous client moving into the next one. And I remember there was one day where I had maybe 3 or 4 clients, and I probably hadn't done my energetic housework properly. And just at the end of the day, you know, I was kind of like, whoa, you know, I feel really knackered. Because a lot of people have said to me before, oh, don't you find the work a bit draining? And it's like, no, it is incredibly uplifting. You know, you feel amazing. But this day I was like, oh, something's a little bit out of alignment. And then realized, right, that I hadn't actually cleared and released that people's energy between each client. So important. And even this is why it's so important, and people recommend this, and they might do it from a more of a mindset place, but what you're doing is actually really instructing your energy fields. Like if you're driving home from work, that you kind of release the energy from the office. You release the energy from the people at the office, right? And that's often why people have a little ritual when they get home. The ritual might be, I go for a run, which is a great way to, let go of excess energy or other people's energy, right? Get grounded. Or you might do something else, right? You might have half an hour before you engage with the family. It's actually a really important thing to do, to shift from one environmental energy to another. And also too, so important. People don't realize how important it is in terms of actually keeping their energy high. If you want to be in a high frequency energy, you will do the work of being aware of what it takes to keep your energy in a good vibration. Like sometimes I amaze myself. I have more energy now than I did when I was 20 because I'm not carrying the same energetic frequency that I was at that age. Because I didn't have the tools to be able to figure out even my emotions and how your emotions can impact your energy fields, let alone be able to be discerning and ask questions and go, okay, how do I figure this out? What's going on that I'm having this recurring emotion? It's scaring me, rather than actually going, I've got the tools to be able to know how to deal with that. So I can ask these questions and unlock the information, get the information, and then create a new experience. I didn't have that skill set as a 20-year-old. I used to just be like, oh my God, what is wrong with me? Right? It would go straight into judgment and blame rather than actually being in the energy of investigation. So this is why it's so important. And again, you want to experience harmony. If you're not aware and you're carrying energy for other people, you're not going to be experiencing harmony. Sometimes I've even seen it before where people are like, they're grumpy or they're angry, and then they kind of tune in. They're like, oh my goodness, this is not even my energy. It is someone else's. You've picked up somebody's bad mood. And of course, if you are sensitive or you're an empath, you can walk through a shopping mall, right? It's almost like energetic chaos. For an empath to go through a shopping mall, that can be a really big decision, right? Because it can, and even and then if you're an empath and then you're introverted as well. So often those two things are confused, right? Introverts being people who really recharge their batteries by spending time alone or maybe with just one other person. Whereas extroverts, of course, receive their energy probably more externally and being around a lot of people. So if you're an introvert and a sensitive, intuitive empath, right, you can see why sometimes it can be overwhelming. Even being around other people and feeling their feelings really easily can be overwhelming for people. So we have to do the work of going, okay, even asking ourselves the questions, is this energy mine? We get really clear on it through Intuitive Mastery, the program, the year-long program that I do for Sacred Leadership, which is to even ask, to what percentage am I running this? And to what percentage is it mine? To what percentage is it somebody else's? And then doing what it takes to release it if it's not yours. And getting really clear on that, right? Getting specific. The more specific you are, the more expansion you're going to feel. The more aware you are, the better questions that you ask yourself, the more awareness that you're going to have, the better awareness you have, the more you can expand your energetic field, the more you can make choices that do that. If I spend time in this environment, is it going to add to my vibration? If the answer is no, then you follow through on that and you say, I know I'm not choosing to do that. Which is another big thing, right? Is I did a show on that. Was it last week? Sorry, losing track of time here. Regards to letting go of people pleasing, which is all about boundaries, learning to say no. Learning to say, no, thank you very much, and learning to go, that's enough. I don't have to go into justification. I don't have to make up a story about why I don't want to do this and therefore put myself in contraction. I can actually just say no because I've checked in with my body and my body says no, and that's enough. So, and really doing the things that, and a lot of people, right, then they have this conflict with their mind and they're like, oh, I can't do that. That would be rude, because they are energetically living externally. They have given their power away to other people, other people's opinions, other people's attitudes, other people's behaviours, and then it feels really selfish and uncomfortable, and it makes them feel guilty when they bring the attention back to themselves. But that's also known as disconnection. You're not connected to your true self in that moment. You always have a choice. It never fails to amaze me sometimes how much people forget that, and often we can end up arguing for our limitations. We can be like, well, no, I don't have a choice. It's like, yes, you do. Even with your work environment. Like, and I've done that before myself. I was in a job that I didn't really like. I was at a lower level of awareness. I was completely freaked out by the fact that I didn't like my job. I felt like I was a bad person and that I should feel more grateful, because at that point in time, I thought that I was being paid a lot of money for what I did. Because of my own value proposition. I wasn't living in alignment with my values. I was really scared, because I was like, I'm still unhappy and I should be grateful that I have this amazing job, and I'm not. And it took me a while to kind of go, okay, what am I going to do about this? Because I would have argued with you black and blue that I needed that job to survive. If you had said to me that it was my choice, I would have said yes, but. Yes, but you don't understand. Yes, but you don't know my situation. Yes, but I have to pay my mortgage. Yes, but, yes, but, yes, but. Right? We need to take our power back and realize that I made that choice to be in that job. And if I don't love it, I get to make another choice. And the universe, and of course, what happens often in these circumstances is one of the big things that I have to help people to do is kind of get right with their relationship with the universe. Because what happens is people go, well, I have to have a job, and therefore they feel disempowered, and then they end up blaming that feeling of disempowerment on the universe. God has done this to me. Why is God doing this to me? Why is life doing this to me? Why do I have to do this? As opposed to taking their power back and going, what choice am I going to make here? How can the universe help me to create a life that I really love? What does it take to have a really good energetic boundary so I can say yes or no? I see your energetic boundary as, you want to be the gatekeeper of your own energy. You want to be very aware of how you feel, and that, because that vibration is filling up your energetic field. And of course, through the law of attraction, this is where, by the way that we're feeling in our vibration, it's kind of our set point in regards to manifesting. You want to manifest what you want. Is it going to be hard, or is it going to be easy? I don't know. How much resistance is there? And this is often where we need to do the work to unpack. If we don't feel like we are valuable, then we're not going to manifest money or material items that we see as having value. It's not going to be a match. So one of the first things we need to really start doing, of course, I've said it a lot, is unpacking that subconscious mind that's filled with all those limiting beliefs, all the energy that you have in there that proves to yourself why you're not worth it, to let that go, to get the decluttering done even in your own subconscious mind. So you can, how when you declutter a drawer and it just feels so good, when we do that to ourselves, we get to feel good consistently. We get to be like, oh, I've let go of that old pain or that old hurt or that old trauma or that old wounding, can let that go out of my energy field, and I can be in that space where I can experience more expansion. And your intuitive guidance is there to show you all the time, right? But we need to make sure that we're checking in and it's coming from clear truth and divine spaciousness rather than our ego. And a lot of people ask me that, like, how do I make sure that I'm moving beyond my ego? So there's always a litmus test, and the litmus test in regards to your ego is to kind of ask yourself, does this energy or thought process lead to an increase in love and connection, or does it not? So that's pretty much the litmus test, but then again, sometimes too, right, the ego can... let me put it this way. I've seen it before where people, they want to go out and save the world, and they want to do that and focus on that rather than actually just sitting down and being with their own feelings. Okay, can you see how that is a catch-22? You can't save the world until you've worked on yourself. In fact, the way to save the world is to change yourself. What's that expression? It was something like, I used to be inspired and I wanted to change the world, and then I was wise and decided to change myself. That is literally how you change the world, is by changing your inner self. And that's all we really have dominion over. We can't control other people. So the best thing we can do is make sure that our own perception of reality, our own filter of reality is clear, right? That there's no riffraff, junk, garbage in the way of our perception of reality. And how do we do that? We need to learn to become the observer of our own thoughts. To create spaciousness, we need to learn how to interrupt our own thoughts and to even ask if they're true. We need to ask if the energy that you're running is coming from a mental pattern that is not serving you, or if it's actually contributing to oneness and connection. So even being in that circumstance, right, where if you are not sure whether you're having a thought that is coming from ego, just ask yourself that question. Does this contribute to me feeling connected and open-hearted, vulnerable, and an open space with other people, or is it contributing to separation and distance? So, and again, the ego can be tricky, but we also need to learn how to navigate that. And one of the ways we can do that is to be really being aware of these energetic fields that we have and to learn what it takes to strengthen them. Because there's other ways, right, that your energetic boundaries, even on a psychic level, right? Like I once had a guy approach me and he basically inferred that we were supposed to date each other. And that somehow, that intuitively, I was a bit stupid that I hadn't realised this. Now, that's a whole different energetic boundary, right? Like that's energetic psychic boundary, as in you should know this already, and without even going through, the human channel of let's go out on a date and see if we're compatible. So really just being supersonically aware of what other people are bringing, and your job is to check your own filter. And this is what always happens. And if you get good at this, practice this, you can identify stuff within seconds. You always need to realize that you are seeing your world through a filter. So when you are interacting with other people, if you can get really clear and really good, and again, this is something that you need to learn and to practice, but once you do, it changes your reality massively, especially in terms, like I said, of the law of attraction in regards to being able to create what you want. To be that person who is taking responsibility for their own interface. Right, this is me, this is my field of reality, this is my energy fields, this is what I have control over, this is my perspective. Is that perspective in alignment with the highest truth of who I am? Is this the way God would see it? Is this the way the universe would see this perspective? All suffering, again, remembering folks, comes from too limited a view. If you expand your perspective and you always look for why is this happening in my life and world, if you can even shift that for why is this happening to me to what is it that God wants to show me, you're going to open up so much energy, and the universe will show you. You have to initiate that relationship with your intuition, because the universe will never impose its will upon you. So what's it going to take to be that person today to go, I'm going to put my hand up, I'm going to step into my intuitive self, I'm going to activate my superpowers, I'm going to choose to be the person who chooses to see things from the universe's perspective, through the eyes of love, and to see what's showing up in my life and world and how the universe might be showing me something. You will open up doors where there were walls. So, and again, we'd love to support you in doing that. So do come and join us at the Intuitive Life Academy on Facebook. You can also find me at www.rebeccadavison.life. Always welcome to connect with me for a free 25-minute consultation. I love talking to people about how powerful they are. It's so much fun to help people realize that, they're sitting on a gold mine, right? They're sitting on their superpowers and it's all inside of them. You might just need a little bit of help unlocking a few windows and doors, etc., in regards to how that unfolds for you. But once you learn the keys, the sky is the limit in terms of what is possible. And I'm definitely on a mission to help people to step into their awakenedness, right? To help people to experience the divine within them. There's nothing better. It's like, living in heaven on earth. All right, folks, so as always, it's a pleasure and a privilege to connect with you. Love the old Find Your Bliss radio show here at Plains FM every Thursday morning at 9 o'clock. If you've got any questions or comments, do bring them into the Facebook group, or you can send me an email by going to their website. I'm sending you so much love and many, many blessings. What would it take in this moment to just fill yourself up with lots of love and light and expand your energy? All right, folks, take good care. Lots of love. Bye for now.